To really get what these 13 Democrats just pulled off, you need to rewind to the night of June 23rd in New York City. Democratic primary night. 3 House races, all deep blue turf, all supposed to be locks for the establishment. And in every single one, the establishment got crushed by candidates carrying the endorsement of NYC's socialist mayor Zoran Amdani. In the 10th, Brad Lander toppled sitting Congressman Dan Goldman. In the 7th, Claire Valdez ousted Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. And in the 13th, a 32-year-old Democratic socialist named Dorella Alasciolia crushed Congressman Adriano Espe. Pause on that last one for a second. Espe wasn't some junior nobody. He was chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. A senior voice inside the Democratic leadership just got knocked off by his own party's socialist flank in his own primary. Lock that name in your head, Alicia, because later when I walk you through what journalists uncovered digging into her old social media posts, you'll see why even lifelong party loyalists are insisting she has no business anywhere near their caucus. We'll get there. But first, fast forward 72 hours. Within days of those results dropping, a group of Democrats did something I frankly did not see coming. They went public with a formal written pledge called The Promise to America, rolled out by Congressman Tom Chee of New York and Congressman Adam Gray of California. It had actually debuted earlier in the month at a center-left gathering called Welcome Fest. But right after the socialist sweep in New York, they unveiled the first 13 signers, sitting members of Congress and Democratic candidates, on the record in writing. And this is where you genuinely need to read the actual language, because I'm telling you, the thing sounds like it was written by people desperate to flee their own party's brand. The pledge lays out 6 core principles. Under the economy section, it flatly states, we are capitalist, not socialist. Just sit with that for a moment. Sitting Democrats in 2026 thought it was necessary to put in writing that they believe in capital. That alone tells you the whole story, because nobody signs a sentence like that unless the opposing view has become an actual power center in their own tent. It keeps rolling. On crime and immigration, the pledge reads that they want safety over lawlessness and explicitly backs secure borders, orderly immigration, and safe communities. Secure borders from Democrats in writing on spending. It says they are responsible, not reckless, and commits the signers to confronting the national debt honestly, pointing out that it's been a full generation since their party last balanced a budget. On the culture war, it declares they are mainstream, not extreme. And then comes the line that made me literally stop and reread under a section literally titled Confident Patriotism. It says, plain as day, why are proud, not ashamed. Now ask yourself why that sentence even had to be written. For years, Republicans have insisted that today's left is ashamed of this country. Democrats called it a smear. And now, 13 of their own members and candidates felt compelled to formally commit on paper that they love this country. Nobody pledges something unless people are doubting it. So who actually signed? Sizzy and Gray led the charge. Josh Guthermer of New Jersey is on the list. Susie Lee of Nevada, Don Davis of North Carolina, Janelle Benham of Oregon, Christerson McDonald Rivette of Michigan, Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire, Cindy Gonzalez of Texas, plus a roster of Democratic candidates running in competitive districts. And look closely at that lineup. These aren't polls from deep blue safe seats. A lot of them hold exactly the swing districts that decide who runs the House. Pocket that, because it matters enormously when we get to November. Sizzy went on Fox News to lay out his reasoning, and to his credit, he didn't try to soften it. He said there are certain things he believes in that aren't getting reflected in the current environment, especially with some of these races on Tuesday. Then he delivered it in one breath. We stand for capitalism over socialism, for safety over lawlessness, for pride in America over shame in America. And he added, those things need to be promoted. He also conceded something Republicans have been saying for years, telling Fox, at the far left and the far right are both extremely well organized, while those of us who don't share either extreme's principles have to get much better at organizing and getting our message out. Now, to be fair, these folks aren't re-registering as Republicans. Sizzy put it bluntly, they'll always be Democrats. He framed the whole thing as organizing like-minded people from inside the party. At the rollout, Josh Gottemer put his own stamp on it, saying he believes deeply in capitalism and calling himself a democratic capitalist. Their stated ambition is to scale this into a real operation, pulling in candidates, state and local officials, donors and activists from coast to coast. They didn't switch parties on paper, but go back and reread that pledge. strong borders, fiscal discipline, open pride in the country, capitalism over socialism. Those are the exact pillars Republicans have been campaigning on for a decade. When one wing of a party has to formally adopt the other side's signature issues just to keep its head above water. You've watched the tectonic shift happen in real time. The question is, why now? And the answer is brutally simple. It's electoral math. Control of Congress is on the line this November, and House majorities are not built in Manhattan or Brooklyn. They're built on Long Island, in the Central Valley, in suburban Michigan, eastern North Carolina, South Texas. Exactly. The kinds of districts these signers come from. Every single one of them knows that when a socialist sweep dominates the news cycle, Republicans get to wrap that story around the neck of every Democrat in every competitive race in the country. And Republicans are already doing exactly that, branding the new wave as socialist and communist heading into the fall. These 13 aren't signing a pledge because they just discovered patriotism in June. They're signing it because they can read a poll, and the polls in their districts are screaming. Which brings us right back to the woman at the center of the whole earthquake. I promised we'd get here. Darla Alishour is now the Democratic nominee in New York's 13th, a seat so blue that winning the primary is effectively winning the general. And after her victory, journalists started digging through her history. According to reporting based on thousands of her posts from a since-deleted account, recovered through internet archives, she had called for abolishing the police entirely, not defunding, not reforming, abolishing. Reporters also found she referred to Joe Biden as a rapist back in 2020, claimed COVID originated in France, and wrote posts attacking interracial relationships in 2026. That is the profile of a person on track to sit in the United States Congress as a Democrat, and the party's own voters put her there, over a sitting caucus chairman. That right there is what finally broke James Carville. If you don't know Carville, he isn't some random cable pundit. He's arguably the most famous Democratic strategist alive, the architect of Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign. When News Nation asked him about the New York results, he tried to keep his cool at first, characterizing the reaction as 90% hysteria, calling it just 3 seats in New York City. Then they asked about Sheyo Aliyah, and any pretense of calm collapsed. He told them 2 of the 3 candidates don't even qualify as Democrats, and that Sheyo Aliyah shouldn't be seated in the caucus because her views are dead opposite of anything any Democrat has stood for. We believe in pluralism. He said she doesn't even believe in interracial dating. Then he dropped the line that ricocheted across the internet. Go do something else. Form your own party. Think about what he's actually saying. He isn't asking her to moderate. He's saying his own party's duly-nominated candidate should be turned away from the Democratic caucus. He doubled down, calling her not a Democrat in the slightest. Okay, that's pretty unmistakable. He also conceded candidly that a lot of Democrats probably feel the same way he does, calling himself an old washed-up consultant, but making clear that he wouldn't want to see her anywhere near the party. And then on his podcast, he went further. This is the moment I teased at the top. Talking through Chevalier's record, Carville snapped, "Lady, I ain't in the same party as you." And then he said the word, quoting him directly, he said, "It's time for Democrats to talk about the sword schism." His exact framing, a formal split, and in his rawest moment, he declared he was done. In his words, he's not in that political party anymore, with an exclave in the middle that you can look up yourself. The man who built the modern Democratic winning playbook just looked at his own coalition and publicly walked away from it. Meanwhile, House Democratic leader Heike Jeff tried to wave the whole thing off, dismissing the primaries as just a few races in one state. One of his own senior members just lost his seat to this movement, and the official response is nothing to see here. Now, here's the part of this story nobody else is really telling you, and it's why I don't think this is just another news cycle. We've watched this exact film before, and how it ended the last time should send a chill down every Democrat's spine. Go back to 1984. Walter Mondale, running on classic old-school liberalism, loses 49 states to Ronald Reagan. 49.